This might come as a surprise to you, but I procrastinated on filming this video. Hey everybody, today I am talking about procrastination, and specifically planning as procrastination. If you look out on the interwebs, you will find a whole bunch of articles about procrastination, a whole bunch of scholarly research. I have actually a book called The Procrastination Equation, which I am starting to read, which is fascinating. It's all about the science behind procrastination. And there's a lot of talk out there about how procrastination can sometimes disguise itself as planning, which, is probably not really a new concept to any of us. But what I specifically want to talk about today is the hobby of planning and how it can contribute to procrastination and how we can try to balance our hobby with the things we actually need to get done on a given day. It shouldn't be too much of a stretch for us to imagine this, as usually for a lot of us, procrastination can feel like laziness, where planning can feel like productivity. But in both cases, that's not always correct. And we'll start with procrastination. What actually is it? Well, there was an article in the New York Times that I found really fascinating, and I will link it down below. The article was by Charlotte Lieberman, and she was citing a bunch of studies done to actually look at the scientific causes of procrastination. She says in the article, procrastination is a way of coping with challenging emotions and negative moods induced by certain tasks: boredom, anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, self-doubt, and beyond. Basically, procrastination is an emotional response. We don't like feeling certain ways, so we procrastinate to avoid feeling certain ways, even if in the long run it makes us feel bad because we missed a deadline, or we didn't do the things we said we would do, or we know that the things we want to do will be good for us in the long run, but the discomfort of doing them in the moment is something that we're kind of shying away from. When I read that, I was like, oh fuck, dude, yeah, because I'm a chronic procrastinator. There are many reasons why I might get triggered to procrastinate, but almost all of it is to avoid feeling crummy about something or another, whether it's crummy because I'm bored, or crummy because I'm distracted, or crummy because I'm confused, or whatever the case may be. Now, when you look at planning is to figure out how you're going to get something done. But for us in the decorative planner community, planning is actually not just that anymore. It is a hobby. It is an artistic expression. It is a way for us to unwind. My curly girl hair is so cute, but I keep breathing it in. So I'm so sorry if my hands were always around my face right now, but god damn it, it's hard being beautiful. Whether we're in the planner hobby because we are interested in hacking our productivity, or we're in it because we want to have a creative outlet, something that we can do every single week to sit down and be creative while at the same time feeling like we're doing something useful, there is a reason that we are each in this hobby together. I've actually talked about before how the way I got into this whole creative planning world, I was doing art for a living at Trader Joe's, and my creativity was all going to the man, and I couldn't justify spending time on myself, which is a whole conversation that I will do in a different video. But because I felt like I was doing something productive when I was putting my stuff in my planner, I felt like I could spend some time being creative in my planner because ultimately it all had a purpose. Like I said, this conversation about always having to be productive, always having to be useful in the hobbies that we do is a whole different conversation. So let's set that to the side for a minute. However we want to interact with the hobby of decorative planning, whether you're a bullet journaler, whether you're a happy planner, whether you're an Erin Condren person, Hobonichi Weeks, if you like to artistically express yourself through your planner, however you do that, however you interact with that, it can be really easy to lose sight of how much time we spend on it, and how much of that time we're spending is valuable creative time to us, and how much of that time is us procrastinating on the things that we actually are putting in the planners. So let's think about this for a second. How are some of the ways our time can get sucked away through this hobby? There's the time you spend decorating your planner, whether you have one planner or multiple planners, whether you use stickers or whether you draw everything in, whether you do fancy hand lettering or whether you stencil. That takes time, and the more elaborate you get, the more time you spend. Now, if you use anything besides just a pen and a notebook, and I know that there are some of you who are purists out there who use just a pen and a notebook, but speaking for the people like me who also enjoy the shopping aspect of the hobby, that can actually suck up a lot of time. Think about the amount of time you spend planning for a collaborative sale, to shop. I'm not even talking about the shop owners. Think about the time that you spend going to places like Michael's or Joann's or wherever. Think about how much time you spend looking for the perfect planner, buying the planners you want to try, trying them for a while, and then swapping them for something new. Think about how many planners you actually have, how much time you spend in each of them, and then how much time you spend accumulating stuff to use in each of them. And if you get all that stuff, think about how much time you spend organizing your shit. I have done live streams where I have organized my washi tape or my stickers, and I can say with extreme certainty that I've spent hours on it because I have video evidence of it, and that's not counting all of the times when I haven't had the camera on. And when you have all of this stuff and you have all of these options, whether it's different brush pens, different colors, different washi tape, different sticker books, different sticker shops, even when you've bought all of that stuff, you still have choices to make. And the time you spend making choices can exponentially increasing the amount of time that you spend doing the planning of the things that are in your life. And then, of course, there is the online aspect of this hobby. If you engage with YouTube videos or you engage with Facebook groups or on Instagram, or you're looking or you're talking, you're making friends, that's just another piece of the hobby. Now, don't mistake me. I'm not saying any of these things are necessarily bad. Like, I try to say this in all my videos. This is not a judgment call on people who like to surf Facebook groups. I like to surf Facebook groups. This isn't a judgment call on people who accumulate washi tape. Exhibit A, my washi collection. But what I am aiming for in this series of videos I've been doing is to get you to look a little bit more critically at the things that you're doing, why you're doing them, and how they may be contributing to situations in your life that you're not actually a fan of. I'm not a fan of procrastinating. I don't like how I feel after I've procrastinated. But I know from examining everything I've been doing, not just lately, but over the course of however long, that I use my hobby of creative planning as a procrastination tool sometimes. The outcome of that, I mean, there's all sorts of outcomes, but the main outcome of that is that I spend my time planning rather than doing. Planning rather than doing. That could be a Twitter bio. So what am I to do, right? What am I supposed to do? I love the hobby of creative planning, but I also love getting shit done. I love putting stickers in my Erin Condren, even though I know that I probably could get away with just my Google Calendar and my bullet journal. I know I could do that. I know I'd probably reduce my procrastination if I did that, but I don't want to give up the things that I love doing, like putting stickers down in my Erin Condren. How am I supposed to deal with this? Well, I've got a few tips for you that you can start working your way through, that I have been working my way through, especially in the past years. I've taken a really hard look at how I've been doing things and why I've been doing things, specifically because I had some pretty big projects and surgeries and so on and so forth this past year that kind of required that I figure my shit out. I have like a 5-step process for you to kind of go through to ask yourself, am I using my decorative planning as a procrastination device? And if I am, how am I going to work through it? Number 1 is to define what decorative planning is to you. Does it make you happy? Is it a hobby? Are you wanting to be productive? I remember on one of my videos, I saw somebody comment about how they're okay spending a bunch of time decorative planning because they actually don't have a lot going on in their life, and decorating is actually something that they just enjoy doing every day. Totally get that. But you need to define that for yourself. For me, I have a lot of various things going on between my kids, my husband, myself, the work I do, the volunteering I do, my health, all of those things. I have all of these pieces of my life that all kind of go together, and I need to keep that shit on track. I need to keep all those plates spinning. The decorative part of it is my release. So I have two kind of sides to my planning hobby. The hobby where I'm trying to figure out how to get shit done in the time I have to do it and to not like lose my shit along the way, and to have fun and have a creative outlet while I'm doing that. It may look different for you. It may look the same for you. But really sit and think about, just write it down. Don't think too hard. Just brain dump out of your head why it is that you plan and why it is that you decorative plan, however that looks for you. Once you figure that out, the second thing to do is to really examine how much time you need and how much time you want each week, each day, each month. You need to assign a time to your planning. It doesn't have to be set in stone. When I'm not filming live plan with me's and talking to you guys, generally speaking, I spend about an hour every weekend planning my whole week out, and then I spend about 15 minutes a day in my bullet journal and in my Erin Condren to kind of check on everything. When I film Plan As You Go, which is what I've been doing all month, it gets a little longer because I'm talking. But when I'm not talking and I'm just doing it, That's about my ideal time. That gives me enough time to be creative, to have some fun, and to get things done if I need to. Hour and a half on the weekends, about 15 minutes daily. So if I catch myself on the weekend spending 4 hours in my planner, or I catch myself on the daily doing a bunch of random shit in my planners and suddenly 45 minutes has passed, I'll have to examine what my to-do list is for that day and think, is there something on here I would rather not be doing? And so I am instead really in the weeds of how I'm planning my day. Only you can decide this. You know your habits. You know how long it takes you to do things. You know how long you like to spend on things. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer here. But if you give yourself kind of a time range of when you want to spend on any of the things that you're doing, when you catch yourself going over that, that's a great opportunity to ask yourself, is this planning what I'm doing, or is this procrastinating? Number 3. And this goes right along with number 2. Once you've figured out how much time you'd like to spend on any given day, that's when you start assigning yourself those times. Do you like to plan on Sunday afternoons? Do you like to open up your journal first thing in the morning? Are you somebody who actually likes to get your day figured out the night before? Figure out when it is you want to be planning and apply those times to that specific situation. So generally speaking, on this day, this is when I sit down with my planners. You may have kids, you may have a significant other, you may have roommates, you may have animals, you may have jobs, whatever you have that might keep you from doing that, that's okay. You can be flexible. But generally speaking, if you can try and figure out, this is the time every day I plan, this is the time every weekend I plan, however it is. As an example, when I started doing my power sheets last year, I picked a day every single month to sit down for a couple of hours with my power sheets for the whole month, so that I would actually sit there and revise everything and do this thing. And that day shifted almost every single month, but I still did it every single month because I set it down and said, this is the time I'm going to be doing this. If you have those regular times, it can start to become a habit. And when it becomes a habit, you will more likely adhere to the boundaries that you set for yourself, rather than allowing yourself to just start trailing off into nowhere, procrastinating and throwing down 18 pieces of washi on the same strip of paper because you can't find the right one to put down. Not that I've done that recently or anything. Number 4 is something that I actually got from Amy Tangerine. This is sort of an adapted thing from her. She talked about how choice can sometimes freeze us up. Choice can add time. Choice can add confusion, decision fatigue, all of that stuff. So she said, if you're going to create, sit down with a limited number of art supplies and force yourself to use that. I try to apply the same thing to when I do decorative planning, whatever the case may be. Often I will pick the colors I want to use, the washi, the stickers, everything, and set those to the side. I still get the fun of putting things down in the decorations, but that main choice, that color scheme, that theme, whatever it is that I want to use has already been done, and so I can spend less time making decisions and more time enjoying the decisions that I made. And the 5th thing I'm going to ask you to do is to be nice to yourself. If you are a procrastinator, especially if you are a procrastinator, you know that it is so common to spend so much time guilting yourself for the things you knew you were supposed to be doing, but you didn't. Feeling shitty because you have a deadline and you're pushed right up against it at the last minute, telling yourself over and over again that you work best under pressure and that this was all strategic and all of those things where you feel guilty, you feel bad, and you're being mean to yourself. There is nothing that makes you procrastinate more than making yourself feel bad. Because when you feel bad, you're going to try to avoid that. And it goes back to what I said before about how procrastination is a form of emotional avoidance. If you're mean to yourself, you are causing those emotions, which will then make you procrastinate more. So try, and I know it's not easy, easier said than done, try to be kind to yourself and to forgive yourself if you catch yourself procrastinating. Don't allow it to become a cycle of shitty badness when all you were trying to do was put some stickers in your planner and then go grocery shopping that day, okay? We all are human. We all screw up. We all are trying to figure our shit out on this wacky earth that we live in. And I have a 6th bonus tip for you. My bonus tip for you is to head over to Skillshare. This is not sponsored unless I'm sponsoring it myself, but I have my most recent Skillshare class live now, Project Planning for Procrastinators. Ironic that I procrastinated on getting the video up about the procrastination class on Skillshare. It's procrastination inception over here. But it's actually how I broke down the big projects like my book this last year and got them done without losing my shit or hitting my deadline super hard, when I had surgeries and everything else, I was kind of forced into figuring out how to get a project done, even though I'm a natural procrastinator. And so we're going to talk about that in that Skillshare class. There is a link down below. If you are not a member of Skillshare Premium, you can get 2 months free by using my link. And I would love it if you go over there, you left me a rating, you join the class, and you let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I would also love to hear from you in the comments below. If you are a procrastinator yourself, do you have any tips for other procrastinators, and how it is that you use decorative planning? And I'd love to know from all of you that first question I asked you. What is planning to you? Why do you decorative plan? Why do you plan? Is it a hobby? Is it to get shit done? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.